How about these? I'm eating these Trident Vibes sours. Berry twist, and boy, are they sour.
That's pretty good.
God damn.
I really like those really sour Jube Jubes.
What'd you call me?
I called you a Jube Jube. That's a pretty good thing to call somebody.
Hello, welcome, Matt. You son of a.
What do you want me to do?
Be quiet.
That's
Is
the
what I
intro.
want you to do.
That's the intro now.
Camera.
That's the intro.
Welcome to the
have
One
to
Patch Podcast, episode 402. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Adriano Petty's here.
Hi.
Tim Spence is here.
Hey, oh.
Matt Lawrence is here.
I am here, yeah.
All right. We're gonna cover some stories here. We got one for everyone, I think, except for Tim, maybe.
Okay. Well,
So-
Tim's been
I'll
kicked
just-
out.
so
Sorry
that-
about
leave, I
that
guess.
was a lie.
a story for everyone except you.
Except for, yeah. There's not even that many people here.
We got 4 stories, 4 people, and there's 2 for 2 of you.
Not even one for everyone.
And then we'll get on to what we're playing later on in the show. We're going to start with our first story here. The first ever Disney and Marvel game showcase coming in September. This is from IGN. This will be the first showcase they do. It will debut next month, featuring brand new video game announcements from the likes of Star Wars, Pixar, Marvel, and more. The digital showcase will debut during the D23 Expo on September 9th, and has already promised further updates on Marvel's Midnight Suns, Amy Hennig's Marvel Ensemble game from Skydance New Media, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and Disney Dreamlight Valley. Marvel games, Lucasfilm games, and 20th Century games will all be present to some degree during the showcase, bringing reveals, announcements, and trailers, new and upcoming games, according to Disney. Do you guys remember when like Disney kind of tried making games on their own?
Name a game that they made.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like Disney Infinity.
Disney
and
Infinity was a big one, yeah.
Wasn't Split Second another that they published, maybe?
Infinity did fairly well, though, didn't it?
It's what collapsed them, I think.
Uh,
If I'm remembering correctly, they spent like $250 million on that game. And I don't think they made that back.
and
So they bit off more than they could chew then with the minis to life genre.
Yeah. And it really sucks too, because they were about to do Rogue One, I don't know what they called them, characters.
Figures?
And then the figures, yeah, and then they shut it down. But you guys have any high hopes for this new entrance into the game space?
and Kingdom Hearts is Square Enix, right?
Yeah, they just partner with that, and I think that's kind of how all they're doing now is they're partnering with higher level studios. We've seen Spider-Man from Insomniac, things like that.
Well, I don't think they're actually partnering with them. I think Sony gets to make it because they own. Like, I don't think Disney gets to say.
Marvel went to them and said, "Do you want to make a Spider-Man or a Marvel game? You can choose whatever character you want," and they chose Spider-Man.
Really?
Why wouldn't you, though?
No, but I'm surprised that they didn't go to a studio and force a game or a character that would have been on multiple platforms. Like, they went to a studio specifically to say, and then allowed a exclusivity deal with PlayStation. Like, I'm actually shocked that they would allow that.
And was this before Sony bought them?
I don't remember when Sony bought
So
them.
Sony must have been involved in the conversation somehow. But according to Insomniac, if I remember correctly, they said that they were able to choose any character they wanted.
And okay,
This is sounding familiar.
yeah, I think I remember that. I just find that interesting that that Marvel would allow them to do that and make it exclusive to the PlayStation console. But it's on the PC now, anyways, I guess. So
And then they're doing Wolverine too, and that's going to be another exclusive. And that one's not directly tied to Sony owning Wolverine or anything like that.
yeah, I find that weird. Do you think you will see the I forget updates on Marvel Midnight Sun? Who are the Midnight Suns? Is it the Is it like the bad guys? Is that like the?
I don't know if they're. I don't know.
Okay, let's take a look here. Let me open up a new tab.
I think it's definitely like an alternate universe or something, though. All right.
Midnight
That one's
Suns.
being made by 2K Games and Firaxis.
Okay, so I type in Midnight Suns and it gives me the actual game. I want to know more just about the property itself.
What are you looking up?
Is a fictional team of supernatural superheroes appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, including Hellstrom, Morbius, Werewolf by Night, Doctor Strange, Ghost. Okay, so it looks like they're doing more of the cryptic kind of like darker HP Lovecraft kind of characters, if I had to guess.
You say Doctor Strange though?
Yeah. I don't think these are actual bad guys. I think these are more like anti-heroes.
But they're an alternate version of some heroes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
This is not like mainline Marvel stuff.
Okay. I'm not up on Marvel, so it's all Greek to me.
Interesting. What I'm wondering is, will we see what's the next? Oh, fuck, what's his name? Star Wars Jedi
Survivor.
Mark Hamill.
Jedi Fallen Order 2? Yes.
Jedi Survivor, yeah.
That's the name of it. Okay. Didn't know they gave a proper name.
There was a trailer and everything.
There's a trailer?
You missed all this?
There's a trailer? When?
Yeah.
We run a gaming news podcast, everybody. We are all very educated on what we're talking about.
What the hell's going on here? We're Googling things and Christ.
There are several Star Wars games in development, though. There's Star Wars Hunters, which is a mobile game. Knights of the Old Republic, which kind of got a shakeup recently. I think didn't they fire their lead guy there or something? And it's on indefinite hold.
You're the Star Wars guy, to be fair. So you would
and then
know.
we have the one from Massive, which I think we're all kind of excited for. Oh, I don't know if Tim is, but
I sure am. As somebody who's currently replaying The Division, I'm fucking excited for that.
I've never played.
And then Tim, you just played Detroit Become Human, right?
For the first time, yeah. Like
they are doing a Star Wars game called Star Wars Eclipse.
Oh, they're doing Eclipse. That's Quantic Dream. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
crazy.
Mired in controversy though.
Oh, good.
Because of the guy who owns or
David
at least
Cage.
runs.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. He's a weirdo.
You know, okay.
Valid.
Yeah, I see a thing, Star Wars, Pixar, Marvel more. You know what I actually miss are the old like Pixar PlayStation and PlayStation 2 games, like the adventure games that you would go and just like run around Andy's room as Buzz Lightyear, or you'd run around the tree in a Bug's Life. Like another one of those would be fun. Can you imagine like running around as Woody or Buzz with like ray tracing support in a perfectly rendered Andy room? Like how fucking gorgeous would that look?
It's like when they added ray tracing to Minecraft.
Yeah, that looks too good.
It does. It looks beyond what you're allowed to have in Minecraft.
And my problem with ray tracing is it looks better than the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's like noticeably
it does
different.
look real.
Yeah.
When you see like a reflection in a glass pane, it looks like a real reflection. So it's kind of strange. You got to wait for the rest of the game to catch up.
You know what happens with those type of things too? I don't know if it's ray tracing, but I'm playing like Prototype 2 right now, and it's not the remake, but it's sort of ported and I guess kind of upscaled a bit for PS4, PS5. But it was done back in like 2015, I want to say. Something like that. And the reflections look better than the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the game is just sort of okay, and then it's like, whoa, I'm surprised these reflections work with how the rest of this game works, or this game looks. So.
Because Marvel games, Lucasfilm games, and 20th Century games. So I guess the Avatar game from Massive will be part of the 20th Century games. I wonder if that's going to be talked about or shown at all.
That get delayed?
Yeah.
Matt, you're the big Avatar fan?
Yeah.
I am not the big Avatar fan, but I remember it being delayed, and then you saying the same damn line to me. So that's how I remember that.
Matt, we all know you're an Avatar fan. You cosplayed as the one of them last year at Fan Expo.
That's incorrect. And also, I don't even know what they're called. I don't even know what the animal or the like. What are they? Are you talking like
Navi?
that bird thing?
Navi.
Oh, I thought you're talking about I thought you're talking about like the bird thing they ride for some reason.
You know what? That's better. If you cosplayed
You
as
dressed
the bird.
up as the bird thing?
I've seen a cosplay of the bird thing actually. Yeah, so I guess that was the
connected
first
your
thing that popped
ponytail
into
to
my
it, right?
mind. The what?
You connected your ponytail to it?
No, I was cosplaying allegedly as this bird thing.
So someone connected a ponytail to you.
I don't know what that means really.
Wait,
I
they
don't know.
connect their ponytails to the birds?
Yeah, so they can like neurologically talk to them, and like it helps them guide the bird instead of like actually riding it like we would ride a horse.
But
They
then
can
they
mute-
also
Man, you
do
guys
that
know a
like
hell of a
sex
lot about
brain
Avatar.
link with other
Yeah, they did it while
avatars, though.
banging, yeah.
So
Yeah.
doesn't that like raise some questions there with like the potential bestiality? We're not going to get into it, but anyway.
Oh my god, I never thought about that. They're having
Anyway, we're gonna keep talking about Matt's cosplay,
Alleged cosplay,
confirmed cosplay.
alleged and absolutely fake cosplay.
You
As
sent
the-
me selfies of you with the bird makeup on.
I couldn't have because I had the big wings on. If I had it on at all.
couldn't have put the makeup on because the bird wings got in the way.
he just that's it. That was
Did
the
my
mission.
cosplay backwards.
That was the mission we were looking for.
You guys know a hell of a lot about Avatar, a hell of a lot more than me. That's for damn sure.
Anyway, what I find interesting about this is that, like, first of all, like Disney is, I guess, clearly dedicated to their games division. So I think that's a good sign. Their games have definitely improved since they decided to shut down their own productions and kind of license it out to third parties and whatnot. So we'll see what that brings. September 9th. That's coming up pretty quick. And then also at D23, I think they show off a lot of other stuff, right? Just for their movies and TV shows and Disney Plus and whatnot.
Yeah, they might go a little bit further into the next Marvel phase for.
I'm already tired. I'm tired.
I think everybody is, honestly. With that last big release of what was it, San Diego Comic-Con, where they showed off like their roadmap for their like next 10 movies or something like that. All I saw online was people being like, I'm kind of, I'm happy for the people that like Marvel, but I'm kind of done.
I'm getting there. I'm not there yet. I am there though with Star Wars. All the Star Wars stuff coming out, and I mentioned it to Marty and Ryan in our chat when Ryan sent us like the latest thing. It was either the Obi-Wan trailer or the Andor trailer, whatever. And
It was the Andor trailer.
Andor. I go like, I think I'm actually having anxiety over how much Star Wars are just pumping out. I just don't want it.
Well, you also have a need to, like, if you're going to consume media, you start from the start and you work your way through it, like, chronologically.
Or
like release order.
Release order, yes.
So, like, with that sort of thing, it's no wonder that you would get anxiety when, like, there's just so much to consume.
Yeah.
It's like you already have a stack of homework, and then someone brings another stack. and
Another
says,
project in,
You also
yeah.
have to do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just,
Like,
but like I think with Star Wars specifically, and it was shots of the Andor trailer. It was everything looked the same. Every show that they had released so far in Disney Plus, all the trailers looked the exact same, and it was like person running down an alley, person being stopped, hands up, shot of ship floating in the sky, shot of bad guy at mid-range, wide composition.
It's almost like every trailer is formulaic these days.
Exactly. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm going to screen cap these randomly. I'm going to show Ryan, and I'm going to ask him to tell me which series these are from, because I have a feeling that he will not be able to distinguish.
You know what? I think this might be why the prequels are kind of having a resurgence in popularity,
because they're different.
They were different.
Yeah.
And George Lucas thought about that, and he didn't want to give you the same thing, that he gave you 20 years prior to them.
Well, and like the people that were kids when the prequels came out are like adults now that are nostalgic for it.
Yeah, and I mean, I grew up loving the prequels. I understand when I'm as an adult now. I understand the problems with them, but I still love them.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I'm kind of starting to lean towards the same way. I'm not acknowledging any sort of good quality filmmaking about them, but it's like I understand the nostalgia about it. So I get that. I'm actually feeling the same way with Star Trek. I'm thinking back on, because I'm not a fan of Voyager or Enterprise, but now looking at new Trek, I can't help but appreciate Voyager and Enterprise now.
Oh. All it takes is a little bit of perspective realignment.
Yes, that's exactly it. So
They're making just too much of everything, though. Like, imagine going through all those movies and stuff like you mentioned, Tim, and then also if you were into the comics and into the Disney Plus shows.
Do you think this is Disney's fault? Do you think that because they created a connected universe and just constantly pumped out hit after hit, that everyone's like, oh, we can run multiple things and make more money and have this massive universe and stuff?
Are you referring to Star Wars or Marvel or both?
I think more Marvel.
More Marvel for sure, because it's more licenses, right?
More licenses. And the thing is, in theory, now that they have control over everything, they have their Disney Plus and they've taken stuff back from Netflix, I would have assumed that it would have been less anxiety inducing, but I find it to be worse. Like if you do a calendar, 2022 and last year as well, they strategically placed all their series releases week at a time in between all the major movie releases.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, in between Doctor Strange and Thor, it was Miss Marvel, and then now it's Groot and She-Hulk, and then it's going to get Wakanda Forever, and then we're going to go into Echo, and it's like they've planned it so every week there's something coming out on Disney Plus, so you can't get rid of Disney Plus at all. Like you're just locked into place, and it's a little much.
I mean, I watch mostly the movies and like in theaters too. And I rarely watch the shows. I have a couple of shows here and there that I've seen. I've seen WandaVision and I haven't really watched many of the others. And like even back in the Netflix days, I didn't really watch all the shows. I watched just like The Punisher, and even just the movies. I can feel the fatigue, but I'm at a point where when the movie comes out, I go to it, I enjoy it, but I just never really go back. There's many of those Marvel movies I've never seen a second time, and that does help a lot. But for somebody that's trying to keep up with it all, I could see it becoming a really big problem.
And for me, like I'm keeping up with the Marvel stuff because from a like a business, like for me, it's a business production standpoint of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I find absolutely fascinating. Like I remember when they had, so we go back to 2007, 2008, and news articles were coming out about Robert Downey Jr. being cast as Iron Man, and people were like, oh, I guess they hit rock bottom. They have nobody else to cast. Then they were talking about the Incredible Hulk. Like one of the major teases that they were talking about was, Paramount's going to do this crossover with Universal where they're going to share a single scene between the two movies. It didn't end up being...
That's cool.
Yeah, it didn't end up being true. They ended up connecting it in a different way where Tony Stark makes a cameo at the post-credit scene for Incredible Hulk. Spoiler alert, I guess. But it was like what was teased, I remember what I was reading on the internet at the time, was that they were just going to do like the single shot was going to be like the single scene was going to be a crossover and it was going to be existent in both movies. And from like a product, like I was kind of mind blown about that. I'm like, I don't understand this. This feels weird to me. And seeing that conceptualized and executed from Iron Man through right up to the first Avengers, and then kind of establishing credibility after that with Winter Soldier. I appreciate the Marvel Cinematic Universe because there was hard work laid out from Kevin Feige and, all studios involved from Paramount to Universal to Disney. And like for me, he deserves all the success and praise that he has done. I just hope he doesn't go overboard and kind of burn out the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because really, when you think about the MCU as like kids, like this is amazing to think about. We get to see major crossovers of our superhero characters on big screens with big production values. It's a dream come true for anyone who read comics as a kid in the 60s or 70s or the 80s or the 90s. So that's why I kind of lean towards more Marvel Cinematic Universe as opposed to Star Wars, because for me, the height of Star Wars was The Empire Strikes Back, and nothing will probably ever come close to that masterpiece.
The thing with the MCU as well is like, I've heard some people obviously say the fatigue thing as well. And, you know, one way to sort of fight the fatigue is to lessen the amount of stuff coming out. So maybe you could lessen the shows or even eliminate the shows for one or two of the licenses or something. But at the same time, it's like if you were to take a hiatus with the movies, like, I mean, Disney, not us watching them. If Disney were to take a hiatus, those actors are going to get older. And then they're going to come back and it'll be like 10 years later or something. And it won't be the same Spider-Man. It won't be the same, you know, this and that. So it's like, are we just making, like, can there be a lull or can there be an hiatus in this MCU? Is this a machine that never stops pumping out forever now? Is this something that are we going to stop this at some point?
There can absolutely be a hiatus for actors. I'm assuming, Tim, have you seen Spider-Man, the latest one, No Way Home?
Yes.
Okay. And spoiler alert, like the reintroduction of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield has caused like fan reactions out the wazoo. And we last saw emo Spider-Man at the end of Spider-Man 3. You know, he was in an uncertain place, I think, with like after the death of Harry and Mary Jane. And then just in the like brief exposition dialogue scene in the third Spider-Man movie now, he's kind of filling in a little bit of that backstory. He's like, oh yeah, we're making it work. You know, Aunt May's no longer around, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, he's kind of in a different part of his life. And we can kind of, as fans who have watched the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, can kind of fill in those gaps and say, okay, well, we know where he was and we can see where he is now. And there was an appropriate level of growth from that character over the 10 years, 12 years that we haven't seen him. I think like letting a character go away for a bit and coming back slightly different, evolved, changed, for better or worse, can be a good thing.
In the individual character, I agree with you, but in terms of the universe itself, can the universe take a hiatus? Like in 20 years, are we still going to have the same MCU that we have today? Like some of the actors aren't going to be there. Some of the licenses are going to change over. Maybe some of the licenses will reboot with new Peter Parkers and whoever else due to the multiverse. They'll like lure it in. Like what I'm asking is that what's going to happen where they just keep rolling things in with different things? Or is it going to be like MCU 1, which is what we have now, is going to end in 2030, and then, you know, in 2035 the next MCU, like MCU 2, will begin. Because one thing I'm noticing with these new movies, and I don't know if you guys see this either, but a lot of the movies, maybe other than Thor so much, but I find a lot of the movies are more crossover-y than independent. And so, like, sure, in the Spider-Man movie, you see more Spider-Man than, you know, other thing. But like, you know, Doctor Strange can be in one of these movies and be one of the major parts of one of these Spider-Man movies, or be one of the major parts of like, I don't know, a Wanda movie, just talking in like, a theoretical Wanda movie. You know, Doctor Strange could be in it 50%, even 60% of the time. And it just feels like as if we're just watching this one long, like, movie that has these, you know, kind of focused story beats. So there's a little more of Spider-Man in this one. And some movies, like I said, more than others, like the Thor movie feels like more like the Thor movie. But maybe this is where the fatigue's coming in, because before you could just be like, I like Spider-Man, I'm going to watch Spider-Man. And then if you know all the backstory and stuff with Iron Man, then cool. If you don't, I mean, so Iron Man's not in it a heck of a lot, so you can get the gist of it. Iron Man's helping Spider-Man in this new universe, cool. And then that's it. So, like, I guess that's maybe where the fatigue's coming in as well, because it feels more obligatory to watch them all. Because it's like Doctor Strange goes and does something absolutely crazy, and that affects not only his movie, but it affects a Spider-Man movie, it affects this movie, that movie, this movie. And I think that's where things start to get pretty messy.
I agree. And I think they're going to do they're not going to like change the title of the MCU. I think they're going to keep it the MCU, but they're going to just do a soft reboot within it. Like they will just somewhere down the line reintroduce a Tony Stark as Iron Man and then just have it kind of continue. Like they're just going to kind of ignore the previous one and just do it all over again.
Just like the comics always have new number ones all the time.
Exactly. I think that's what they're going to eventually do.
I think the MCU will end eventually. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it will end at some point.
Unless it ends with Kevin Feige. Like Kevin Feige had, I think I read the headline today, so I didn't actually read the article. The headline was like Kevin Feige teased that he might be done with the MCU after.
Come to Star Wars?
No. Go to Warner Brothers. Clean that mess up.
No, come to Star Wars.
No. Star Wars. Just leave Star Wars.
Retire. Well, you've done enough. Take a break.
I feel like Disney would do what they got to do to keep him on.
You know what you should do? You should go over to
Star Wars.
No, not Star Wars or Star Trek. The one franchise
Stargate
that needs the hero. Stargate. Yes.
Oh yeah. Fuck
clean up that mess. Yeah.
Although Stargate's not really a mess. There's not really much to clean up. It's a pretty
the mess that is Stargate.
There's no mess. It's just old now. There's just 3 TV series and 1 theatrical movie and 2 or 3 like movies that are basically just episodes.
All right, moving on. Embracer. You guys remember Embracer?
I do.
What's weird about Embracer is I never heard of them prior to them purchasing not Square Enix, because Crystal Dynamics and like the Tomb Raider games. And now they're going on a spending spree, and they bought the Lord of the Rings IP rights, among other things.
And that's for everything, the whole IP.
They don't own the books or the publishing rights, but they own like
all media associated with
video games, TV, movies, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is from PC Gamer. Embracer Group, the parent company for a vast and expanding roster of studios and publishers, including THQ Nordic, Gearbox, PlayOn, formerly Koch Media, and Saber Interactive, has announced it will acquire Middle-earth Enterprises, which basically means it owns IP rights for The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and a bunch of Middle-earth related stuff. The company doesn't even know about yet.
We don't even know what it is, but it's ours.
Purchase price is undisclosed due to commercial reasons, which is kind of unfortunate. I'd like to know how much kind of the Lord of the Rings franchise is worth.
Mm-hmm.
So this makes clear that they will not own the J.R.R. Tolkien's actual literary works, which remain property of the Tolkien estate. It means that the Embrace will own the rights to adapt the books into film, video games, stage plays, placemats, Funko Pops, that sort of thing. If the acquisition is successful, Embrace will adopt Middle-earth Enterprises from the Saul Zaentz company. So yeah, is anyone here itching for more Lord of the Rings? I know we got the show coming out. I'm not sure if this affects that at all. Like, I thought Amazon had they just purchased like a one-time license for it, or I'm not sure how that works.
I don't know.
I think Lord of the Rings could really have a really nice RPG, not a Middle Earth where you're always running around in literally Middle Earth and everything's always chaotic. I mean, with big cities, big towns, proper storyline, side quests, go around the world, visit cool places like Minas Tirith, the Shire, Middle Earth at some point, whatever Mordor. All that type of stuff. Like, go all around the whole map, everywhere, in peace, in war, everything. Because the thing with Shadow of Mordor is it's too chaotic, and yes, it is Mordor. I realize it's supposed to be chaotic, but it's too chaotic, and there's no downtime. There's no, hey, let's go back to town and check in with a quest. It's always some sort of war. And sure, there's like, I suppose, a bit of downtime in a friendly fort, but you're just standing around. There's not NPCs really to talk to and stuff like that. It'd be really cool to go out there and really almost not a looter shooter, but like a traditional RPG where you're looting and finding cool stuff, and just an open world Lord of the Rings game would be awesome. And if it was co-op, that'd be even better.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be really fun.
I really like the old Lord of the Rings games too.
The movie tie-in ones?
Yeah, like Battle for Middle Earth and stuff like that. Like they're always I always really enjoyed them when I was younger.
The Return or Two Towers and Return of the King were awesome, and I played the Two Towers the most. But holy crap, were those games fun?
Was there a Fellowship one?
I believe there was. I never had it myself.
Oh, there definitely was. I do remember fighting the
Ring Wraiths.
the giant squid thing.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'll even take more Lego Lord of the Rings at this point. Like the Lego games were also really good. Like I just give me more Lord of the Rings.
I know there is an MMO, but would you like a fresher new one, or is that too big? I just want something more contained.
No, I'm not into MMOs anymore. Like they have their place, but I'm sure if it was like really well done by like a huge AAA studio, I'm sure a Lord of the Rings MMO would do really well. But I think it is better served to telling those really like tightly knit narratives with lots of good character development in a single player game.
Especially like the thing I'm thinking of is really like a Kingdoms of Amalur, but just like more modern and just like higher quality quests and stuff like that. They could even do it in sort of that kind of cartoony-ish style as well. To kind of take some liberties with it, or make it gritty too. Either one, but just something that's not super RPG where it's like really hard to figure out what's going on. Just something where you can, be challenged a fair bit, but have your fun in the Lord of the Rings world would be really cool. Building different classes would be awesome. Playing as an elf, as an archer, whatever, playing as a human, playing as a wizard or whoever, maybe even like one of those classic old game things where you play through the game and then you can play as an orc or an uruk, and you can go across the land and have like a different, like people be like, oh my God, it's like an orc or whatever. And, shit like that, like have a different, character experience would be super cool, I think, as well. Stuff like that would be awesome. Have big battle set pieces in the storyline and just stuff like that would be really cool.
Would you guys want it tied into the movies at all? Or do you want it in that same kind of style and maybe even in the same kind of canon?
I don't care about the canon. I like a lot of the movie set pieces. So either the movie set pieces, like the big fights like Helm's Deep and stuff like that, for me personally, or stuff like that at that scale. The canon, like I don't care, because I find that would, at least in my opinion, bog down the creativity they could take with this game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to go into like I almost thinking like an easy Elden Ring, if you really think about this, where it's just packed to the brim with content, where it's like cool to go into caves and find swords and stuff like this, and they don't have to be. It's like this is the sword of whoever, some big figure in Rohan or something. Let's say I'm searching a place in Rohan. I don't need there to be somebody poring over the novels and poring over the movies being like, oh my God, like what sword could be here? Like this is so messed up. And now if we use it in this cave, we can't use it in the movies. If we make new movies or if we make new other media, like what are we going to do? Like just take away that stress and just sort of like, just put me in the Lord of the Rings universe.
I think Elden Ring was the first thing that came to my mind when I heard this too. Not in terms of difficulty or play style, but in terms of the world, right?
Absolutely.
How fantastic that world is visually and to explore. But yeah, I would definitely want a more traditional kind of, Western RPG style to it.
And the depth of the lore as well. Like you were mentioning earlier about the Vati Vidya videos on YouTube about Elden Ring. Like he's been in the game for a long time making lore videos about FromSoft stuff. But like with the Elden Ring stories and characters and locations, and like it's just a world that I got so much more sucked into than I thought I would. And I'm a pretty big fan of FromSoft, and I like the lore in Dark Souls and stuff, but Elden Ring is just like a completely different beast. Like I love digging into all of the like character stories and stuff. So to have that sort of experience with an IP that I've loved since I was a kid, right, would probably be like the one game that I'd be asking for my entire life, Like if I could die, if I died before one game came out that would make me the most disappointed, it would be a big, deep, rich, open RPG in the Lord of the Rings universe.
Because all the other ones too, there were some that came out after the movie tie-in games. There was The Third Age, which was a turn-based game, and it was sort of quote-unquote free roam in little fixed areas. And then there was and another one that used to be on Steam and they've taken it away. I don't remember. Has anyone played it? It's an action game. Lord of the Rings War in the North, I believe it is.
That's the one.
I like
that's
that
a really
one.
good game.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that's a really nice one, too. I think that one's real time, but it's fixed areas again type of thing.
Yeah.
I would love to just be able to, like, free wander.
Kind of reminds me of, like, the Dragon Age games a little bit.
That's a good comparison for sure. There's tons of people here that are, like, taking a bunch of pictures. Like, I'm just looking at the Steam wall, and there's, like, people posting little comics and stuff like that. And
people are still, playing it.
It sucks that like Middle Earth is cool, but it's very much an action game. It's almost like it's the action packed nature of the movie games thrown into one of the free roam Lord of the Rings games. And what you get, at least in my opinion, is sort of a nonstop fight all the time, and it gets really tiresome. And the mechanics are really loose, in my opinion, or not that in depth because of that. Even the Nemesis system, which is, relatively in depth, but it's relatively in depth in a menu. When you're in the actual world, it doesn't feel that in depth, and taking over the fortresses isn't that in depth. It's more about the fight, I find. So, like, really having a deep game that's action based, but not all the time, I think is crucial.
There's no time to explore in those games because you're constantly under threat of some orcs running at you.
Yeah, they're always running around in these damn packs. These fucking Uruks and shit are running around. It's ridiculous.
I think that's the thing that Elden Ring really nailed is like giving people like a big world that's fun to explore, and it usually rewards you. Like even if it's if something that you find isn't necessarily for your build, it's still satisfying having gone through that cave and gotten that thing at the end after beating the boss. It's like you open a chest and you get a thing and you're like, ooh, I probably can't use that, but it looks cool.
Yeah, that's pretty important too, because I don't explore too much in games, but I did in Elden Ring because of that fact. Because there was something to find, even not necessarily an item, just like a cool place,
Yeah,
where something
the vistas
cool is
can be
happening.
worth it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what sold me on that game. Actually, when I actually like kind of sat back and thought, wow, this is a fantastic game, was just looking at the vistas.
The best part about the vistas in that game too is a lot of them tease what's to come. You're way out in the countryside near, say, like the bottom of a cliff or mountain. And then you come out to this sort of break in the forest and you look up and there's like the cliff / the escarpment, whatever, is like slowly working its way up to this huge mansion or castle or like whatever it is. And you're like, Jesus, like I'm going to go up into that huge house, that huge city, that huge castle, whatever you're seeing. Like, I'm going to slowly work my way up there. And then eventually you work your way up there and you're up in one of the towers of the mansion or you're up in one of the towers of the castle and you turn around and you can kind of like look down at where you were and you're looking down at the world and it's like, whoa, I've come all this way. It's pretty damn cool.
And not just that, but also the like, well, I should say, to further your point of like teasing what's to come, like sometimes it teases something that's like literally hours of gameplay away. Like you'll get something that was made for you that was intended for you to experience it like towards the beginning of the game. And then you could be down in like a cave somewhere underneath. And then you look out into a vista and it's this like huge, lake of poison or whatever. And you don't get down there until like another 20 hours later kind of thing. And then it's that satisfaction of getting down there and being like, holy shit, this was that place I saw 20 hours ago.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, Adriano, play Elden Ring.
I would like to, and I'm going to add it to my wish list on Steam because I have an announcement when we get to what we're playing section.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's get there then. Next up here, Sony is working on a Days Gone movie. Now, this is the article that was from Matt.
Oh.
This is from IGN.
I have no tie to this franchise. I apologize. If you want to like this okay game and probably shitty movie, go for it, Matt.
Sony PlayStation Productions is apparently developing the film with an adaptation from X-Men First Class story developer Sheldon Turner. The movie will be produced by Vendetta Productions and PlayStation Productions. The producers are currently eyeing Outlander star Sam Huygen
Don't ask me.
to play Deacon St. John. The actor has also appeared in The Spy Who Dumped Me, Bloodshot, and the upcoming Everest movie. The new Days Gone adaptation is just the latest in a string of announcements from Sony. Sony has a lot on the go, actually. I was looking at this list. Last of Us, they got the Uncharted movie that just came out, and potentially another one. They have a God of War series for Amazon Prime, a Twisted Metal series for Peacock, Netflix's Horizon Zero Dawn series, Gran Turismo show, Adriano. There you go.
Yeah. Who the
And
fuck
the
knows
Ghost of
what that's gonna
Tsushima
be?
movie, which they're apparently looking for a Japanese director. And I think they want an entire cast of Japanese actors or something.
Good on them.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Anyway, Matt, how do you feel about the Days Gone movie?
Well, I said this to you actually not because I'm a huge fan of Days Gone or anything like that, or I really want to see this. I'm more shocked at its existence.
Right.
They
Yeah.
did not greenlight a Days Gone 2. And then and so that kind of, kills the spirit of, Days Gone fans in a way, right? Sort of like people kind of got angry, but then there's nothing more to be hyped about if you're all about Days Gone. And then they're just like, oh, but by the way, like over a year, I think it's been more than a year since they didn't greenlight the second one. They're like, hey, we're doing a Days Gone movie. Why?
Tax write-off.
God. If that's the case, that's sad. But like, I don't know.
You're right. This is bizarre.
This is bizarre. You would think this would release around the time of a Days Gone 2. Whereas this is the hype machine for the Days Gone 2 release coming up soon. If the movie were to come out first.
Days Gone remastered on PS5.
Or vice versa, where like Days Gone 2, the game comes out, and then this kind of comes out shortly after.
Days Gone 2. The days are still gone in ink.
God.
You know what's sad is they showed this off at the end of E3, right? Or at the end of whatever, maybe it was just a random
I think it was E3
PlayStation event. But so they kind of thought like this is our big, capper on the show. People are going to be impressed by how many zombies are on screen and fighting. And then the game came out and I think the game was fun. It was everything else that was bad. It was, the acting and the script and the characters and stuff like that. The game itself was kind of fun.
Well, I was going to say, I'm a firm believer, and this is a total estimate on my behalf. I don't actually have numbers, but I'm a firm believer that most people get stuck in that first part. That first part is rough, and it doesn't feel like it's going to end. You don't realize the game's going to pick up and go to another area, and then to an even further area. I remember I was talking to you, Ryan, and I was like, man, I'm 4 missions in here, and we've been going up and down this same damn highway, back and forth, effectively in a U shape to different facilities and different stops on this highway. And I'm sick and tired of talking to whatever those guys that live out in the woods are. The guy that has the radio station, I don't remember his name. But it's like I'm sick and tired of like going to this person, talking to them, then going all the way to Tucker's, I think her name was, and like talking to her, then going to a a town, having a flashback, going to another town, having a flashback, and just kind of moseying around that area. I just find that area to be particularly not that great.
Yeah.
But when you get to, I mean, this is spoilers, but when you get to Matt's village or Matt's camp, it's actually like it really picks up. And then you go to even like a further area. To me, like that's when it gets kind of good. And I really think it should have probably started in Matt's camp, or it should have like only had 2 or 3 missions in that northern area just to kind of get you to learn how to use the bike and stuff.
I find it funny too because I think the character in the game looks a lot like the voice actor and mocap actor Sam Witwer.
I thought it was him, actually. Maybe it isn't, but
and so it's kind of funny that they're finding some other guy because Sam Witwer's done other movies like live action movies. He was in The Mist. I'm not sure if he's done much else. He definitely has though. But yeah, I'm always curious what goes into those decisions to cast someone else, unless there's other guys like got more star power. I don't know. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name.
Is X-Men First Class good? I know there's been a lot of X-Men that are good and a lot that are bad.
Among the X-Men movies, it's good, yeah.
Okay. So that is sort of a gloating point about Sheldon Turner. Then I don't really know who he is, so.
I do like First Class. It's not... Days of Future Past is better. But First Class is definitely good.
Okay.
Fuck, I was on mute. I was talking. Days of Future Past, I find it to be a much more well-paced film. Like, it kind of goes firing right out of the gate.
Mhm.
It's like it's the movie starts and they're already kind of in the shit. Like they're just kind of going, which I like about Days of Future Past.
Mhm.
That might be the last X-Men movie I saw.
Let me bring up.
It's the last one you need to see.
Let me bring up
Because
my.
the two that came after it were probably the worst X-Men movies.
Okay, so we have X-Men from 2000,
That's a good one.
X2, X-Men United,
That's
2003.
a really good one.
That's a fantastic movie. X-Men: The Last Stand, 2006.
That's a bad one.
That's a bad one. X-Men: First Class.
That's good.
Okay, yeah, that's 2011. Days of Future Past, we just talked about it.
Pretty good.
Then X-Men: Apocalypse.
Really bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was really fucking bad.
I'm surprised at how bad it was.
Then
Jeez.
Logan,
that was good,
wait.
yeah.
the
that's the
masterpiece.
last one I saw.
That's
That's a phenomenal movie.
Logan.
That was
I've
my
only
movie of the
ever
year
seen
that
Logan.
year.
That
Of all the X-Men films?
Yep.
Oh,
Matt, it might be worth like going through the franchise. I have them I have all of them. Actually, I don't have everything on Plex. Okay, so then after that's Dark Phoenix, which is also
that one's bad.
Yeah, I think
It's more forgettable than anything.
yes, but I would say it's better than Apocalypse.
Yes, I agree.
And then after that is like the Deadpool movies are also sprinkled in here, and then after all that is the amazing movie that is The New Mutants.
And you're being
100% genuine.
Yep, genuine guys. I think it is the masterpiece that this generation has been looking for.
I don't
You
believe
don't.
it.
Everyone should be watching The New Mutants, and we should be redefining what it is to be a filmmaker based on the techniques.
this is
and
Citizen Kane of our time.
Yes. That is The New Mutants.
All right, well, there you go. Days Gone, coming to a theater near you, or straight to DVD.
Oh, that'd be really sad, actually.
Not even a Blu-ray release.
It just gets the
Straight
Barbie
to
movie treatment.
DVD. Yeah.
I
Real
know
thin case,
Interesting
too.
about all these Sony productions is that they're all over the place. HBO, Prime, Netflix, and then Ghost of Tsushima, I think, is pending.
Yeah.
Peacock. Like, if you're like, oh, I want to watch all the PlayStation licenses, it's like, well, you better get
Good
5
luck.
or 6 subscription services, and hopefully they're all in your country. It's like, oh, great.
No,
Yeah.
cancel them all. Cancel them all. That's what I'm doing.
Fuck yeah. Then just don't watch any of it.
You see what happened? I think it was just in the U.S., but people watching streaming took over the people watching like cable and satellite for the first time.
Whoa.
Like the amount of people watching it. So we're at a
Jeez.
turning point here.
I kind of thought that had already happened like almost a decade ago for some reason.
I mean, it's been picking up, but
A decade? Or?
Maybe not a decade, but like above 5 years. Because in college, like when we were in college, it was like Netflix was new. And I remember it had like, here's 5 action movies and stuff like that. And they were all just sort of really random, direct to DVD movies and stuff. And then it started picking up. And I used it for a bit and I left. I didn't pay for it anymore. I left for a fair bit of time. And then I remember I came back probably not that long, like a year and a half later. And Netflix had basically solidified in, say, like movie culture. And we still weren't out of college. And everyone had Netflix and everyone watched everything on Netflix.
Yeah, but you you're talking about a massive amount of like the United States. The majority of that population in smaller towns who are of like Gen X or baby boomers that don't know how to kind of navigate that streaming service are still in like that cable TV or bunny ear antenna mode where that's how they watch a majority of their shit.
I suppose that's true, yeah.
I don't know if you can still use the bunny ears. Didn't they switch from?
Oh, maybe, yeah. I mean,
I think they
Well,
turned off the
CT
analog.
think you
DTV,
can.
but maybe in America?
they do have those like the new version of it, like the free to air. Like you can just buy like a free to air HD antenna and put it on.
There's
that's
something
right.
still
Yeah.
being broadcast, but I don't think it's like analog waves anymore, right?
No, it's
Because
not.
you needed that.
Yeah.
You needed that converter or something.
Mhm. Yeah, you still has to go through a digital box
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Which don't quote me on this, but I believe someone told me that it's now in the TVs.
Yeah,
If the TV has a coax that is for satellite or something, it like instead of you having to buy a DTV box plus have your antenna, you can just have the antenna. Like, check in your area. Don't just take my word for it, because it's different in all jurisdictions. But somebody was saying that they just took a regular antenna for whatever they meant by regular antenna, and they didn't plug it into a box. They just plugged it right into the TV, and it worked.
Yeah, a lot of new TVs, especially in the last like 4 years, have just the digital tuner. It's called the digital tuner. They're built right into the TVs now, so they can just decode the signal.
Craziness.
Because I think you can get basically for us, it would be mostly stuff broadcast out of Toronto, which would be probably like CTV, CBC, stuff like that.
TVO, I don't know if that's in Toronto.
Maybe WNED, maybe something like that.
All right, let's move on.
WNE, isn't that an American thing? Yeah, maybe.
Is it American? Oh, well, whatever. Yeah.
You can tell American stations. This is a fun fact. American stations are always 4 letters. And they will either start with W or K.
Or K.
Yes.
Depending on what side of the Mississippi they're on.
Exactly. Everything east of the Mississippi is W. Everything west of the Mississippi is K.
Goes for all radio stations, too.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's your useless piece of trivia.
Useless? That's fascinating. I'll use it tomorrow.
What are you going to use it for?
It's going to impress all of his listeners.
He's going to write a blog post about it.
All right, let's move on to the final story. This one's for Adriano. Helldivers sequel has been heavily teased.
Yeah, I'm doing my happy dance. Woo!
In a TikTok posted to the studio's Twitter account this morning, its social media manager is seen innocently starting their workday before being bombarded by demands from fans like Adriano for a Helldivers sequel. Most interestingly, just before they opened their browser, a folder can be seen just above it titled Secret Arrowhead Game Project.
Mm-hmm.
Not only confirming that it's working on something new, but heavily implying the project is a sequel to the studio's beloved game.
Fuck yeah. You guys ready? Guys ready to spread liberty and freedom across these robots and bugs?
I've never played Helldivers.
What?
It's not, I don't think it's that popular of a game.
I fucking love that game. Anyways, yes, Helldivers, hopefully a sequel or a spiritual successor, something that they can iterate on. Hopefully crossplay, because I really don't. Somebody just something to our Discord. Because I really would like to play with people across different platforms. But Tim, for what Helldivers is essentially, it's an isometric view, up to 4 players, and you're a team of like very it's almost like Starship Troopers. It's very like propaganda based,
gung ho military man.
Yeah, there's a little tinge of sarcasm in there, and you're pretty much going around, and it's like technically a live service game, I guess by definition, where the entire map resets every month. And you can explore the galaxy, and you have 3 different factions. You can either go fight the bugs, you can go fight the wizards, or you can fight the robots.
Wizards.
I don't know what they call them. The Illuminate is the actual faction name, but yeah, the Illuminate. So then you have to start at like, I think the center, like where Earth is, because you're fighting 3 wars technically, and you and the community can kind of contribute towards whatever war effort you want. And as the month goes on, or the season goes on, your battle against, the difficulty planets 1 through 16 will contribute to the overall war effort. And then before the time is up, you're supposed to be able to get to the home planet and then do a final push there. And then like you can kind of do comparisons with other stats and players to see who's kind of contributing and where you stand on the current leaderboard. And then at the same time, you can kind of collect signs while you're on missions to upgrade your weapons and your stuff, and then you can go down to the planets for the missions. What is interesting about it, though, is it's a isometric up to 4 players, but all team members, regardless of how many players you're playing with, share the same screen. So if you're on a planet, if you're on the same planet and you want to go left, and the other 3 people are stationary because they want to go right, you can't go left. You have to collectively move together, and it creates quite the entertaining situations when you get like cornered, and especially if you're playing with people who, if you're playing with a group of people who have trouble communicating, it becomes really funny. So
there's not just rumor that backs this up. There's actually a leak from NVIDIA GeForce that has proven true several other times, with sequels like Kingdom Hearts 4 and Dragon's Dogma 2 being confirmed. And Helldivers sequel also appears in that list of leaked games. So could be pretty close to being a sure thing. Been a while though, eh?
Yeah, they did a blog post, because every once in a while I'll go back to the Arrowhead Studios website to see what's going on with Helldivers, and they're still doing updates for it. And they had a blog post I think it's just as the pandemic was starting, maybe. But I actually just recently, because I played with people on PlayStation and I've canceled my PS Plus subscription, so I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna buy to have this game on Steam. And I started just replaying it on Steam to try to unlock everything all over again, because all equipment's locked and you have nothing starting off with. So it's yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. If you guys if you guys want to do a let's play of Helldivers after you're done with Grounded, I'd be down for that.
God,
do it PC. Yeah.
My only problem with Helldivers was that obviously it's like a procedurally generated thing, like you said, and there's different objectives. But those different objectives became very stale to me very quick. It's like, oh, this is like a tower defense thing, and oh, this is like, you know, these little almost like mini games kind of.
Yeah, but you circumvent that by increasing the difficulty.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty hard though when I played it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't gone back to it in a while because we've switched over to the Division. But we have been playing it, and we have been trying to push up the difficulty and getting past, like, I think we've finished like a level 11 planet, because it starts off at 1 and goes up to like 16 for just like, it's brutally difficult. I think we got to an 11, and we're like fine tuning your equipment. We're trying different tactics, and it's a good time. Helldivers is great. Honestly, like one of the defining games for me for the. It's a crossplay game, surprisingly. So it's actually PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 4, and by backwards compatibility, PlayStation 5. And they can all crossplay with each other through that that ecosystem. So
dang.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Vita having that. That was pretty cool. I remember that.
Has like custom controls for the touchpad, because you have to be able to throw grenades and call down your user radio. It's so good.
I think I tried it with you guys once on Vita, just to try it.
Mm-hmm. All right, that does it for our top stories. We're going to move on to what we're playing. Tim Spence, what have you been up to?
That's me. I have been doing Elden Ring, as I just kind of always am, just passively. And Matt and I actually, before the podcast, I had the seamless multiplayer co-op mod come across my radar like a while ago, and I wanted to see if we could get it working, and like we did. It really didn't take very much work at all.
No.
So like technically what you do, what you're doing is you're running a different kind of version of Elden Ring that basically allows you to just connect to a single other person or group of people, instead of connecting to like the Elden Ring servers. So technically from like the game's perspective, you're playing it offline, but you are connected to the internet and connecting to like your friends, and you basically just set up a password, and then I think you can have up to 4 people in one game. And it's because it's not like running the easy anti-cheat, because you're not connecting with other players online that you could potentially like cheat against. The game runs really well.
Really well.
Like anti-cheat definitely messes with Elden Ring's performance on PC. But overall, like it's we didn't get to play around with it too much yet, but overall it feels really good to play. I mean, our particular connection, we aren't too physically far apart from one another, but if there's any lag at all, it's very like here and there, and only for a very limited period of time. And there's like maybe a tenth of a second delay on synchronizing things for both of us, and it just works really well. It's a really well done mod for how complicated I would have imagined it would be.
Does it just help with connection issues, or are you saying that the actual performance of the game is better, like you're getting better frame rate?
So the better frame rate, I think, is just a matter of the fact that anti-cheat isn't running. The game just is weirdly like more, it just has less things running in the background, right? And it's also not connecting to the Elden Ring servers, so it's not worrying about constantly refreshing a connection with like reading people's messages or summon signs or all that stuff. But the overall point of the mod, for those that aren't familiar with Elden Ring, so the FromSoft games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Elden Ring have a very convoluted multiplayer system where you basically have to like use an item so that your character is able to see other characters, and then you can summon those characters into your game, or you can be summoned into someone else's game. And the point is usually always to just like go to the nearby boss and kill them. And if you manage to succeed in that, if you were summoned into someone's game, you might get a little like helpful item. And then you basically say like goodbye to the person who hosted it, and then you disappear. You're basically summoned in as a spirit to help them beat a boss, and then that's it. And then if you die, you go back to your own world too. What this mod does is makes it so that it's constant multiplayer, even in locations where you normally can't do multiplayer, because these games always have like a particular, like this is a multiplayer area or this is not a multiplayer area. The mod makes it so that everywhere you can always connect to somebody. And if you die or beat a boss, you aren't forced to disconnect from that person. So in the past, like there were people that wanted to play through like Dark Souls with their friends, but the way in which you see other people's like summoning signs to bring them into your game was always really convoluted, especially back in like Dark Souls 1, where you had to be within a certain level range of like plus or minus 10% of your level. Plus you also had to like only be up to this amount of gear kind of thing. Actually, no, that wasn't in Dark Souls 1. That's how lots of people would get like ganked in the very beginning, is people would be like a low level, but they'd have super upgraded weapons and just like troll people by destroying them. Which they changed in Elden Ring. But they changed it and made it a little more multiplayer friendly by adding a like online password system. So if you put in your password to be like cheese, and then someone else also puts in their password as cheese, you will only see the summon signs of people who have cheese as their password. So that was a way of like quickly being able to connect to your friends specifically, because with Dark Souls, even if you were satisfying all the constraints of like being able to see each other's summon signs, you might just not see each other's signs because of the way that the servers were like bouncing people's different connections off of each other all over the world. And it just like luck of the draw, you might find your friend's sign, you might not. So it was really convoluted. The password system was a nice addition. Elden Ring also has the password system, and you can just join into people's games if you have the same password, no matter what your level, no matter what your equipment, no matter what your state of New Game Plus. You can also, like if you were in like New Game Plus 3 and your friend is just playing the base game, you can still co-op with them. It just scales you back down to their kind of level and stats. It all works very well. But people's complaints were always, I want to keep playing with my friend. I want to summon back into their game. It's annoying that every time we beat a boss or one of us dies, we have to do the connection all over again. So for this, it basically just has you both in sort of a like constant connection. And if one of you dies, they just go back to the last site of grace. If you're fighting a boss, you have to either beat the boss or both of you die to be out of the boss room. And it just works really well. Like like I said, we played it for maybe an hour and we're fiddling around with like how the game works. And it just feels like a modern multiplayer RPG, instead of having to deal with all the like silly multiplayer constraints that FromSoft puts on their games. And I say silly relative to other multiplayer games that are available right now, but the way that FromSoft has it is definitely like part of their game design.
Yeah, because it's not really a co-op game. It's more of like an assist game.
Yeah,
You can assist people.
you assist people. It's not necessarily that you're playing it co-op. Yeah, I would agree.
Hmm.
Another really nice feature of it is that normally when you play online with people, you can't ride your mount around torrent, which really doesn't make a lot of sense when you like summon in a friend. You're playing multiplayer in these like big open fields that were clearly designed for you to be running around on them on the back of your mount, but you can't because you're in multiplayer. So it takes a lot longer to like run all around. But in this mod, you can go on torrent all the time. So it really makes for traversing and exploring the world more fun because you're doing it with a friend, and you also get that full functionality of having your mount too. So it's very.
I think the torrent thing is
very
like torrent is kind of an advantage in certain boss fights where you can ride around and not get hit, and they're almost like if you have another player there with you, you don't need that advantage.
Not in boss fights, but just in like overworld areas where you normally can ride torrent, where it gets disabled by multiplayer. Now it doesn't get disabled. So it's not like you're able to run around on torrent like inside interiors and stuff. You can't do that. But everywhere that you can normally ride torrent, you can ride torrent again, even in multiplayer.
Yeah, cool.
And it's really cool. Aside from that, though, I started playing Fallout New Vegas on stream, and I've been working through that, and that's always a fun game. I really enjoy Fallout New Vegas. But a friend of mine bought me Cult of the Lamb on Steam, which as I look at the Steam page right now, it appears that they have passed 1 million players in their first week, which is pretty crazy. If you're not familiar with Cult of the Lamb, it's a Devolver Digital Studios game made by Massive Monster, I think, is what the company is called. It's the art style is very evocative of like Don't Starve, and like the gameplay, it's very like Don't Starve for me. Massive Monster was the developer, and basically you are a little animal that is in the service of a like demon, and you are to amass a cult of followers, and by their faith in you, you gain powers and upgrades, and then you are to go out and fight, and it's very like roguelike in the combat. So you go and fight in like dungeons and stuff, and that combat is I would call it like a mix of like Hades and also what's it called, Binding of Isaac, if you've ever played that game. But yeah, it's really fun. It's the art style is very adorable. They're all like little animals and little animal creatures, all the characters. And yeah, there's like choices that you have to make on how you're going to run your cult based on how many followers you get. And then are you going to focus on like worship or like food, and you can farm and things like that? Or do you want to rule your cult with an iron fist? You're going to sacrifice people, or are you going to, there's all these little choices that you can make, and it's a lot of fun. I don't think it's a particularly long game. I've gone through it pretty slowly. I've probably only put about 10 or 12 hours into it, and I already have half the achievements. Like I'm pretty well halfway through the game, I think. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really, really good. I would look it up if you're even a little bit curious about it, because it's way more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. And I think it's relatively cheap as well. Canadian prices, it's $27.99. So that's like what, $20, $22 American. Super, super worth the money at that price. It's a ton of fun. And there's a number of difficulty levels as well. So if you want to just play it more casually and sort of do it for like the story and the decisions that you can make, you can do that. Or if you're a real power gamer who plays Binding of Isaac on the highest difficulty, there's a hardcore mode, I think, or like a super hard difficulty too. So and then there's a little bit of like camp managing as well. How you have to manage like your followers' hunger, and like if they eat like food, because you're out in the bush, right? You don't have like modern appliances and stuff like that. You're in a camp in the middle of nowhere. So you have to harvest food, and like sometimes if you cook food, it has like a % chance of making your followers sick, or just like crap their pants right there after they eat it. So you have to clean up the camp, and if it's too dirty, they get sick. And if they get sick or they're too hungry, then their faith drops. And if their faith is too low, then you start to get dissenters, and then dissenters start to question your cult, and you have to re-educate them. So it's like there's a whole bunch of like mechanics off of mechanics off of mechanics.
I didn't know it was that in depth.
But it's super like accessible. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend Cult of the Lamb if you're not already on the hype train, because it's really kicking off. But that's pretty much been my week.
Cool. Matt?
What? Me? I've been doing a bit of that Elden Ring, like Tim mentioned. One other thing I wanted to mention in there too is you said you can go like anywhere that like multiplayer normally isn't allowed. And one of the areas that I always hated was because I could, let's say I'm in like a castle. I haven't killed the end boss yet, and there's only one boss in this castle. I summon you in there. You help me through the castle. We go through all the catacombs and whatever we need to go through. We get to the boss. We kill the boss. Now I can't summon you in that castle anymore. And in Elden Ring, there's a bunch of like side passages and this and that. And the other thing, there's like side loot and stuff. So now I can do that, which is really cool. It was very much the default Elden Ring gameplay or multiplayer gameplay was absolutely not designed to be sort of like, hey, this is an open world multiplayer game. That's not how it was designed. I'd also like to state in terms of the performance as well. The performance is way improved. Like you said, whenever I started the game, it would take like a little while for the frame rate to sort of straighten itself out. It would, kind of go between say 50, 55 and 60. So like right in there. So 50 to 60 range. But it would have these huge hiccups where it'd go down to like 3 and then come right back. And then like 3 again, come way back. And then we'd go through like a cutscene and Tim would get kicked out and stuff like that.
It was so bad.
It was really bad. And like people online had it. So basically Tim and I kind of quote unquote did our time in vanilla Elden Ring, or Tim has more than done that. But like I've beaten the game finally, like I said last week.
We brute forced the crap out of the normal multiplayer functionality.
Yes, exactly. Like we've done our time. We've got our achievements. Now I don't give a crap about beating the game again. So we can just have fun with the mod and have like, cause it's a separate save and all that type of stuff as well. So, but easy anti-cheat. Holy crap. Like, I don't know what's going on there, but like the performance was so bad. I couldn't believe it, actually. I never thought like at all that it would have been the reason why these issues were happening. Cause I remember like you guys, like Ryan, you and Aaron and Marty and Wes would all be playing on PlayStation just fine. And you'd have the odd problem, but like some people have rural internet and stuff like this. So it wasn't like outside of the realm of normal problems. For whatever reason, holy crap, did like the PC version just suck. Constant disconnections. Some people just can't connect for more than a couple seconds. Sometimes it connects just fine. Other times the game starts freezing. Can't like quit the game because it thinks Tim's trying to join my game, but Tim's game is soft locked. I can't now quit the game because it thinks he's in there, but he's not. Disaster. So all that's being circumvented by a mod, and a lot of these issues, at least from our limited testing, seem to be gone virtually completely because I would say the mod plus the easy anti-cheat is now gone. So there's that whole thing. But beyond that, I've been doing, this is a weird one. I've been playing a little bit of Dead Island Riptide. I'm trying to get through it. I have
Solo?
What's that?
Solo?
No. A couple of my college buddies like randomly wanted to play it. So we booted up new characters. And, so Tim, like, Tim, like you and I played through the first one, and then we imported our saves into the second one. We played, 20% of the second one, Riptide. Yeah. So I still have that save. Like, that's all fine. But I took a look at that save, and I am like, 10 or 20 or maybe like 15 levels above where I'm at. So Riptide is not a sequel. It just happens right after the first one.
It's a continuation. Yeah.
It's a continuation. Whatever. Anyway, why the hell don't they just call it a sequel? I don't care. But anyway, so when you start a new character, you start at like level 15 or something. It's slightly too low, I would say myself. And I'm like just starting to get to the point where I can actually fight. Those knife throwing zombies, unless they come at a higher level, are not there right now, which is really nice.
Good.
I haven't been killed by them.
Oh boy.
I don't mind the game. Like, it's okay. It's, it was old when we played it, and it's getting older. So if anyone wants to play with me, I'll play some Dead Island Riptide. Tim, if you ever want to beat it,
I don't know if I'll ever reinstall that game.
it's a rough one, but it's just one of those series where I'm like, fuck, I want this check mark.
I don't remember if I beat it.
You probably didn't. It's a little rough.
Well, luckily, I have something that will tell me if I did.
And it's the IGN playlist app. No. But yeah, so I've been doing a little bit of that. It's it's a blast from the past, and I'm glad to be working toward a check mark. And that's been that. Other than that, I booted up Prototype 2. I actually started this last week, forgot to mention it. Done a couple more missions now. It's been just slowly chipping away at it, maybe about a mission a night type thing. Whenever I'm on PlayStation, you guys head to bed, I do a quick mission, then I log off. And people, so Prototype, say got like, I'm talking like just in general from my general feelers out there. So I'd say like between an 8 and a 9. And Prototype 2 seems to be scoring around like 60 to say 7.5 type thing, like 60 to 6 to 7.5. That's kind of where I would like generally throw it from just kind of putting out, like reading the odd review in that. I've been trying to avoid spoilers. And a lot of it comes down to people say the first game in general has better gameplay. The second game does not. And I absolutely see where they're coming from, but I prefer, at least at this point, the second game. The reason why that is because the first game is just chaotic. It's total chaos. People are running around. You literally heal by ripping like people's heads off and stuff. Like, that's literally what you do. You pick them up, eat their head or something, and then you heal. There's tanks flying in, helicopters and shit, like, or other tanks rolling in, helicopters flying in. It's just total chaos. And you can steal the helicopters, you can steal the tanks. And there's a targeting system and there's a little bit of stealth mechanic there, but it's like pretty chaotic a lot of the time. And if you're trying to stealth and something goes wrong, it's just total chaos. This game's kind of similar in the fact that there's a little bit of stealth and it's pretty chaotic, but it's a lot more methodical. So it's a later 360 game is kind of the era it's from. And so it feels a lot more alive than the first game. The environment feels a lot better. I'm playing the PS4 version on my PS5. So like I said, the reflections are really nice. The game looks really good for a 360 game that's been, I don't know, up-resed or whatever. They did some touch-up work, but the game looks really good. What I like about it though is it's a bit slower. And I think this is why people don't like it. There's, in my opinion, a better targeting mechanic. At this point, I can't jump in tanks and helicopters, which is unfortunate, but I haven't had the need to. The powers are being given to me kind of slowly and methodically, but my powers feel like a lot more powerful. I kind of felt in the other one where I had to get my power, then I had to level up to make it better. Then I could kind of use it more reliably. This one just feels like the combat is doing what I expect it to do. If I do a big attack, I kill a lot of people. And it's like, I didn't like accidentally miss and stuff like that. Whereas with Prototype, I'd often miss, like the aiming was there, but it was kind of, in my opinion, kind of janky and primitive. So this game is just, to me, it's just a more solid game to play. But definitely slower, definitely less chaotic. So I get people's thoughts on it. But just probably why it's like a 7.5, because obviously some people are going to be in my camp where we're like, hey, that's really nice. I like that. Whereas the other people in Prototype are like, no, I want the chaos and the running around and not knowing what's going on and jumping in and out of tanks and crap. Of course. And destroying buildings. I don't think you can do that in this game. At least I can't yet. You can destroy buildings in the Prototype. It was a whole thing. So, or maybe it only been certain buildings, but regardless, that game was chaos. So this game just feels a lot more sort of grounded, if you will. But other than that, I actually don't think I'm doing much else other than a little bit of Fortnite. Been doing the Dragon Ball Z crossover. You have to collect 7 Dragon Balls and you get, I think it's Shenron. I didn't watch much Dragon Ball Z, but you get Shenron and as a glider. If you do sort of what I'm going to call the Dragon Ball Pass, which is sort of a mini free battle pass, you earn different emotes and different, not sprays, but they're like these little, I don't know, little posters. I don't really know what to call those. What do you call those? Or I think they are emotes, but it's like your character like does like a little hand gesture and like a little emote shows up. So like a little like Goku or something
yeah,
will show
I guess
up.
they're emotes.
Little whatever the heck they are. They're not sprays. They're just these little emotes in which a picture shows up in front of you and does like a little like a GIF animation. But there are some like full on emotes where you like charge up and stuff like that. Obviously a bunch of the skins like Goku and Vegeta and a bunch of other ones are all in the store right now as well. And you can use the Nimbus Cloud, and you can also use the Kamehameha in the game. So the Nimbus Cloud's good for running away and getting places. And the Kamehameha is good for destroying environments and obviously attacking people. And battles are absolutely crazy because people are yelling Kamehameha and you don't know whether like they saw you and you're hiding in a building and whether they're just going to kill you instantly because they're going to blast through the whole building with it. So that's a good bit of fun. But that's been my week.
Adriano.
Dragon Ball Z. I have played and beat both Dead Islands.
What?
Well, hot damn.
In a week?
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, this week.
Nice.
I didn't mark it when, but I did finish that. So what I have been playing, not much. I dipped back into Rogue Legacy 2, trying to go through that. Chipping away with Borderlands 3 with you, Mr. Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I did some Overwatch, trying to get as many loot boxes as possible before they go off sale forever. And I did the account merge that you said. Did it end up showing up for you, Ryan, in your menu?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you do it, or are you going to wait, or what?
Yep, I did.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we did that, and I've been playing some Overwatch, and what else? I have continuing to play Sea of Thieves, and with this new Caesar, sorry, my cat. Yep. You sit there, buddy. And with this new season, they've introduced the ship name, so you no longer have to just grab a plain ship and decorate it. You can buy a ship. You can buy a sloop, brigantine, or galleon for 250,000, 350,000, or 500,000 gold. The thing is, though, with me, I have been spending my money every time I play the game on just whatever I want, so I had no money. So I've been grinding gold rapidly to get up to 500,000 because I want to buy a galleon. Mainly because I want to buy a galleon because mostly when I play Sea of Thieves, I'm playing in a group of 4 people, and it's usually my ship, and I'm usually the captain. So they want to buy their lower ships for themselves. They want me to buy the big one. So then it comes to the dilemma of the name. What do I call this thing? And my brother and I have been the most excited about these names. Like he immediately started pitching the names for him, and then he comes to me with a ridiculous suggestion. and he wanted like similar to HMS or USS, he wanted to put a series of letters in front of it to represent like a fleet of ships. So he's like, hey, like, why don't we come up with a common acronym and we all put that in front of our names, so like it's just a part of a fleet.
Oh man, it's just like the old lobby shit, man.
Yeah, so I'm like, no. He's like, oh, come on, and then he's already curated like 12 names that he wants to name his ship, but then he comes up with the acronym that he wanted to use, and it's like JTST or JSTS or something like that. And it pretty much when he read it out to me, it's his like username, like his Xbox name as the things like JetGP's. I guess I'm saying his name, JetGP's sea ships or whatever, blah blah blah. And I'm like, you want me to name my ships under your banner? Like you want me to fall under your rule? So I'm not doing that. But I did go through and I picked 3 names that I wanted to do for my ships. I'm going to run. I also have some other ideas for other ships that I think would be fun. And I think Sea of Thieves is missing a massive opportunity, or other companies are missing like awesome marketing opportunities that they could jump in on. For instance,
The USS McDonald's.
Well, so here's the thing. It's like you can do cosmetics for everything. Like they are willing to dip into other IPs for ship sets. Like there is a Gears of War set that I have. There's a Halo set. There's a Battletoad set. And now these are all video game IPs, granted, but it's why don't you guys go a little bit further? So it's like, why not? Like, why isn't Toyota marketing in this and have like a Toyota set of sales? And then you could
Toyotathon?
And then you could like name your ships like whatever you like. Like if I had a set of Toyota sales, like I would do the lowest one as a Corolla, and then I do like RAV4 or Venza as I go further up, and like I find that to be fun and dumb. Or I was thinking I wanted to take one of each ship, sloop, brigantine, galleon, and skin the bottom one blue, the middle one orange, and the big one green, and have my MS fleet of ships. So have MS Word, MS PowerPoint, and MS Excel.
Oh my lord,
that's awesome.
So that's another one that I kind of want to do.
That's pretty on brand.
Yeah, and it's like, why? Like, what do I have to do to get an actual proper like Microsoft Word set of sales or Excel? Like, I would absolutely do the MS Excel as a ship.
Excelsior.
Yeah. So those are like dumb novelty sets that I want to do, but the three names. So the way that I want to curate names was, well, like, where am I going to pull these names from? So I went through the set of canon Starfleet ships, and I started pulling names that I like or ships that I like and pulling those names. So I've narrowed down to 3, and I'm pretty much going to use these 3 names. I'm going to assign one to the sloop, one to the brigantine, and one to the galleon. I just don't know which one to assign to which. But I'm going to tell you the 3 names. You guys tell me what you think. The Dauntless.
Classic.
Okay. The Farragut.
Less classic.
It sounds like a pub for some reason or something.
Yeah, it has like a English tinge to it, right?
I don't know why. The first thing I thought of was a pub in Greedfall.
There's a Fort Farragut in Oblivion. That's where my brain goes first.
There you go. So then the last name is probably my favorite, and it's the one I'm probably going to lean towards naming my galleon, because I'm also in on the Twitch drops. Like, I watch a lot of it on Twitch because they release whole sets of exclusive cosmetics that I'm just trying to claim through there. And the last name is the Bellerophon.
That's pretty cool, actually.
I'm going with that first one, I think, myself.
Dauntless. I'm thinking Dauntless to be my sloop. I think Dauntless is going to be my little tiny ship when I kind of zip around on my own, if I zip around on my own. And then I think Bellerophon is going to be the big one. And then I might either use Farragut as another galleon down the line or the brigantine in between. I haven't decided. But I pulled the Bellerophon in Star Trek is the... We're going to get really nerdy. Is the USS Bellerophon is the only other Intrepid class starship that we see on screen. And Ryan, what is the Intrepid class starship?
I have no idea.
The Voyager. Voyager, for God's.
Why would I know that?
Because you're
It
Voyager.
just got nerdier.
Yeah. So the USS Voyager is an Intrepid class starship. There is the USS Bellerophon, which is another Voyager. That shows up in Deep Space Nine, and I always liked Voyager. Like, I think Voyager design is one of the coolest fucking ships in the entire series. I think it's almost perfect. I just don't like Voyager as a series, so that name has been tainted. So I default to Bellerophon. So I'm thinking the Bellerophon. That's where I am with Sea of Thieves. My brother and I are greatly geeking out over the names and all that shit. So that's Sea of Thieves. And then I think, my announcement. I was playing Tunic, but I'm no longer playing Tunic because I canceled my Xbox Game Pass PC subscription.
Hey, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
good game though.
yeah, and I can always buy it if I really wanted to play it, or I turn it back on for a month or whatever. So this was my dilemma. Was I had an Xbox Game Pass subscription, PC subscription, and when it came time to playing a game, I was kind of caught up in a circle, like in a vicious circle. I would go and browse the Xbox Game Pass stuff and say, I should play these games, but I don't necessarily want to play these games. And then I would go to my spreadsheet and I would go and start looking at everything that I own that I haven't played. But then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, but then these are not going anywhere. I have an Xbox Game Pass subscription. Why am I not playing something on there? And I would go back and browse that again. And I did this for like a week straight. And I could have played a game in that fucking time and I didn't. And so I decided to cancel it because I would rather play things that I own that I want to play. And if I don't have it, I can and I do want to play it and it is on Game Pass, I can turn it on temporarily or just buy the game outright. Because I actually do want to, like, another dilemma was like, I do want to play Elden Ring and I do want to play Spider-Man Remastered, but I don't own those outright. And I also those are not going to be on Game Pass, at least not anytime soon. So I would never be in a position to play them. So I canceled Game Pass and I immediately went and added Elden Ring and Spider-Man to my wish list on Steam because it's like, okay, now if these go on sale, I'm more likely just to outright buy them and play them. And I know this completely goes against, and I've done a 180 on my thing from like fucking 3 episodes ago, but I'm finding Game Pass to kind of be too much of a good thing. And I'm not giving anything outside of Game Pass an opportunity. And like I have my dumb little spreadsheet open right here, and I'm just scrolling through it, and I have like just blues. The blues that are highlighted are games that I have that I want to play, that I intend on playing, and it just keeps on going.
It's hard, right? When you get such a backlog for free. Well, not free, but for a monthly price, right? Such a huge backlog that like it's hard to justify paying $80 for a game.
Yeah. So I think if like I can wait for a Christmas sale, winter sale, Halloween sale, whatever it is, for anything that I do want to play. Like I do want to play Returnal, I do want to play Spider-Man, I do want to play Elden Ring. The problem is those are not going to hit a subscription service anytime soon. So how do I get to that game? And I think step one was canceling my subscription service. And then I'll figure out the purchase part of that later. And on top of all of that, like you still get weekly free games through Epic if you decide to redeem those. You get your monthly games through Twitch if you're a Prime member. You know, I still have PS Plus for another couple months. Like I still get monthly games through that. And it's just the pile is growing. Like if I scroll down to the bottom of this, I have over 1,300 individual entries on this sheet about games that I own. And some of those are packs of games. Like if you actually go into it, there's actually it expands out to more games.
Holy Christ.
So it's just I think Game Pass is good. I'm not saying like don't do it or if you don't want to do that, but for me, as somebody who likes to tackle one game and get through it, I think I've realized that Game Pass might not be for me right now. Maybe later.
Well, would you buy a game that's on Game Pass, or if you like, you know, went through your list, whatever, you don't have Game Pass right now and you decide you're going to play, I know you're playing this, but let's just say you're going to beat Sea of Thieves and you see Sea of Thieves is on Game Pass and you don't own it. Are you going to get Game Pass for a month because you're going to get through the game in a month, you estimate, or are you going to buy it? So
Sea of Thieves is a bad example because I own Sea of Thieves already. I actually bought it when it first came out before Game Pass, like even before I ever subscribed to Game Pass. So that's, I won't use that as an example. But let's say, I'm going to open up Game Pass right now and just to take a look. I think it would be a case by case basis. So for like all the Bethesda stuff in there, I think if it's something that I think I can knock out within a month or two, I would probably turn on Game Pass temporarily. So, like, Deathloop is going to inevitably come to Game Pass, I think.
Probably.
That would probably be a game where I turn it on and I just hammer that game out. Like, I just get her done, cross her off, move on. I don't see myself buying that game outright. If it's a bigger game in which I think I will probably be spending quite a bit of time on, like Starfield, it might be advantageous for me to buy it outright and to play it piecemeal, or put it on sale and wait for it to go on sale, then buy it, then play it when I want. So I don't know, because like I'm looking at a lot of the things on Game Pass. It's like I also own these on Steam. Like I want to play, or on Epic Games. Like I want to play Hades. I have it on Epic Games. I want to play Death Stranding. I have it on Epic Games. Vampire Survivors. I already fucking have that. So Plague Tale, Steam. Like I have too many options. It's another first world problem.
I suppose it makes sense for when you're trying to tackle something, for sure, because I definitely don't give much a chance on Xbox anymore. Like I don't even, they'll be like, oh, it's the biggest game sale event, blah blah blah, whatever tile. And on PlayStation, I look at those and I pick the odd one up. But on Xbox, if I look at them, I glance at them and then I never buy anything.
Yeah, it's weird. Like there was a thing like Xbox sale on games. It's like, why the fuck am I even going to open this link? But then I saw the tile on PlayStation. It's like up to 70% off all games, and I found myself clicking on it and scrolling through it.
Yeah.
So
seriously,
that is one of the concerns people in the industry have had about these subscription models for gaming. Is it devalues games? It makes them worth less to people.
Yeah, like there's definitely like I recently purchased this week on the really big sale. I want to get into eventually Devil May Cry. And Devil May Cry has like the HD collection, but there's also another bundle that's sometimes on sale, which is the HD collection plus 4 special edition, which is the PS4 version of the PS3 Devil May Cry 4. So you're effectively getting 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it never went lower than $30. And I just kept it in my cart and I just kept watching it and watching it and watching it. And then eventually at the end of this sale, it went down to $19.99 Canadian. And I was like, fuck it. $20 for all this. Like, this is great savings. Like, this is, it like makes me value it, I guess, a little bit more, because it's like, I'm actually seeking these out. And that's how I get a lot of my PlayStation games, especially single player ones. I get them on very deep sale. Even months or even more than a year before I even play them. But I always wait for that stupidly deep sale, or unless I want to play it right away. But with Xbox, it's like I just browse the Game Pass, and if something leaves, it's like, oh, I guess I'm not playing that. And then there it goes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is also like, I think it was something that I've been thinking about for a while. And I think what kind of pushed me to do it was I kind of started absolving some of my other subscriptions in my life. So like I was on a Spotify premium plan, which I was not paying for, but the person who was covering that cost for me said like, I don't want to cover this anymore. I go, yeah, of course. No one, like, shove me off. So she kicked me off, and it was kind of like liberating. It was just like, oh, I don't have to like have this premium version of this thing anymore. I don't want this. So then it just like kind of got me kickstarted on just canceling other needless subscriptions. And one of the ones that I've canceled was PlayStation Plus. I have that for a couple more months to finish off the division with my with one group, and then that's it. I'm sunsetting that subscription, and then I'll have a $700 YouTube box beside my TV. So, and then like
a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I canceled. What was the other one I canceled? fuck, there's another one I canceled. I'm going to likely cancel my Amazon Prime before it renews in November because I just don't want to pay that anymore. I'm looking to cancel my Netflix. The problem is I'm in this like rut of sharing it with like 6 or 7 other people. And if I pull myself out of that, the cost gets inflated that much more for them. So I'm trying to like rally more people to exit this account altogether so we can just kind of like collectively shut it down. Cause I don't want to pay for that anymore. I don't.
Would you start buying shows and stuff then? Like, would you be like, oh, like, I don't know, She-Hulk is out. I'm going to go to the Microsoft store or like whatever and buy it if I can, I guess.
So the 2 subscription services in which I would keep are Crave and Disney Plus, believe it or not, for now. If I had to get rid of one of those and keep the other, I would probably get rid of it's a tough one, but I'd probably get rid of Crave and keep Disney Plus. So the other thing though is, Matt, and you know, I've openly talked about this, and you have one too, and now Ryan has one, is I have a Plex, and I've been just dumping media into that thing so I can have my curated library of stuff there. So I don't have to go into these subscription services constantly. So, yeah.
Hot damn.
Yeah, I want less monthly subscriptions.
But you will pay for one for your car's remote start.
I think Toyota double backed on that.
I know, I'm just being a dick.
Yeah. And I would not do that, so. That's Adriano.
Not much from me. Just Fortnite. Fallout 76. That's about it.
Horizon. I saw you on Horizon and I was yelling at you while you were playing it.
Yeah.
Just giving him a hard time for no reason.
Diablo Immortal. I did download PUBG on my iPad and played a match. It's fascinating. That's it. That's it for me.
Damn.
Pretty slow week. Just waiting for some games to actually come out. I can't seem to stick with any other kind of game. I've picked up and like started like a bunch of just little tiny games here and there, and I can't stick with any of them. I think last week I said I started a Plague Tale, and since I haven't gone back to it yet.
Oh my god!
Is it because you're playing too many things all at once?
I don't know. It's just nothing's really grabbing hold of me yet.
Because that's what happens with me. I'll be like, I'm bored, I want to play something, but I don't want to play anything that I'm already playing. So I try to like boot up something new, and then that doesn't hook me. So I boot up something else, that doesn't hook me. And then I don't want to go back and play the other things because I tried to play games for a couple hours, but I didn't settle on anything. And then I have to like reset for a couple of days and just not play anything until I want to play what I've already been playing, you know?
Maybe that's it. Yeah. Yeah. But that's all we got for this week. Tim Spence.
Yes, sir.
Where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/The Sidetrack, as always, where we're, like I said, playing through Cult of the Lamb. We've made some good progress. If you want to join a cult, that's the other kind of cool thing about Cult of the Lamb is it's got lots of Twitch integration. So like viewers can contribute to stuff and like make decisions, help or hinder you, with decisions that are like, or things that are happening in the game. The help or hinder system kind of broke after the first couple of days because I think there were way more people playing it than they were expecting, so they're reworking that. But that's coming back. You can enter like a follower raffle every time you bring a new follower into the fold. You can put your name into the hat to be randomly picked and assigned to a follower. Yeah, it's a good time. It's ridiculous. It's so silly. It's such a silly game. But then, like we mentioned before, we're also playing Grounded on Wednesday nights on twitch.tv/DayOnePatchMedia.
Wow,
fucking awesome mega build.
Yeah, making a friggin' treehouse. It's awesome.
Yeah, so check that out. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.